All right, just a quick one here. I actually want to talk about fat loss. I haven't talked about fat loss in a while, so I thought I would have one here. And it actually pertains to the myth of that 6 meals a day to boost metabolism. Is it completely a myth? I wouldn't say it's completely a myth, but I would say that it's not completely true either. So I have done that 6 meals a day, every 2-3 hours, making sure that you get something to eat. Um, and I did that with some really good results. So how is it a myth if I got some really good results out of it? Okay, so I made some really massive changes, going from my first competition to my second competition. This was years ago, and it was so fast. Literally, I competed that summer in October. They hosted another competition in Edmonton, and I placed I placed almost last in the summer competition, and then I placed second place for lightweight bodybuilding, and it was like seventh, which was kind of more in the middle, and that was literally in a span of just like 3 months. Um, so so just a little bit more than 3 months. But anyways, that's when I started doing that 2 to 3 meals. A meal every 2 to 3 hours, and I got some really good results. So let's go through a little bit of explanation with that. So I've done fasting, and I've gotten some really great results as well. In terms of my physique, I built muscle, put on some muscle mass. I kept the body fat low, and I've done fasting. So I fasted for like 20 hours straight, for a long duration, for a long period of time, and I still ended up getting some results with that. Okay, so is do you need to eat 2 to 3 hours to keep your metabolism and not put on fat? No, obviously not, because like I said, I've done the fasting thing, and I've gotten results out of that too. But this is where it gets mixed up. Okay, so when I did the 2 to 3 hour meal, working out to about 6 meals a day or whatever, I was bodybuilding, right? So I was putting on mass. So that's the interesting thing. And for you guys that are following me, and I'm actually trying to put on some mass right now, and that's actually the strategy that I'm going to be using, and probably starting today. My mass program started on the beginning of October, so I'm going to be starting it today, and every 2-3 hours, I'm going to try to consume something. So when we're looking at this 2 to 3 hour meal, you're actually trying to increase caloric intake. Okay, so you're going to be eating a lot more than you usually are, because what happens is when you constantly are eating, you're constantly keeping yourself in an insulin spike. So when you're trying to lose weight, this is not the ideal situation, because you're going to be caught in a hunger cycle. When you're always boosting your insulin, you're always gonna be hungry. So there's this huge fluctuations in terms of your insulin, which will not only cause like tiredness and again cause that hunger cycle. So if you want to increase your caloric intake in bodybuilding, that's a great thing to do, and that's exactly why I'm doing it on a mass program. But when you're trying to cut, constantly being hungry, especially if you're not working out to the extent that a bodybuilder would be to regulate that insulin, eating 2 to 3 hours to boost your metabolism might actually be counterproductive to actually what you want to do. So I wouldn't go and do 2 to 3 hour meals just because it's said to boost your metabolism. So let's go over that really quickly. Okay, there is a boost in eating, right? When you're eating, there is a metabolic process. So it takes a metabolic process to break down your foods. So they say eat every 2 to 3 hours so that you keep that furnace burning. Okay, so, but it's not like that. Let's say you're thermogenic, for your consumption. For your consumption of food, the thermodynamic effect of your food being processed and so on doesn't make a difference if you're eating 6 meals that equals to 3,000 calories, or you're sitting in one meal, and eating 3,000 calories. The thermogenic effect is the exact same. So you're still going to get that same metabolic boost from eating that one meal of 3,000 calories versus 6 meals of 3,000 calories. The metabolic return is exactly the same. Okay, so to think that we are going to eat 2 to 3 to keep that furnace burning is no difference than if you ate one meal. And let's look at this. There's a research study that has been done in the Journal of Obesity. They stated that it doesn't having that 6 meals doesn't actually help with appetite suppressant. So and it's actually better. The effects of appetite suppressant actually worked better on the standard 3 meals, the breakfast, lunch, and dinner that people do. So again, going back to it, it's because your insulin is spiked and you're caught in this hunger cycle. So you're actually doing that, and you're increasing how hungry you actually are, just because your insulin is always spiked. Okay, and you're not regulating it by exercise. You're not training like a bodybuilder, right? So if you're a bodybuilder, that's actually beneficial because that insulin spike is going to help you grow muscle, right? So it all depends, right? So somebody might have looked at my best photo and said, hey, he got jacked and he got ripped, right? So he's doing that 6 meals. We should be doing that 6 meals, but because the context is different, you're not going to get the same results. So you really have to kind of understand, understand it, right? You just got to understand the whole thing to really apply it to you. Because if you're not, then you might not be hitting the goals that you want. Okay, so that 2 to 3 hour meal is not going to boost your metabolism any different than one meal. So if you're looking to do fat loss, so you want to actually set up a plan where there's almost a forced caloric reduction. So fasting is actually causing an automatic forced caloric reduction. Maybe not at first. So let me just summarize it really quick here. So at first, a lot of people are like, oh, if I don't eat, when I break my fast, then I kind of overeat and I have too much or whatever. That is true, but if you talk to anybody that fasts religiously, they say they can't really eat. After fasting for a duration of time, when it comes time to eat, they can't really eat. They just get full really quick. So anybody that fasts is going to know that, right? So if you're fasting, then you'll realize that it's going to automatically force a caloric reduction. Okay. So you got to find ways to automatically reduce your calories if you want to lose weight through a caloric reduction, which is usually how you would do it. Okay, so now on the other hand, if you want to put on mass and gain weight, you need to create a system where you're going to be putting on additional calories without having to, use willpower. So in this case, the 2 to 3 hour meal will work for putting on mass. Okay, so this is a really cool thing to look at, and understanding how to eat really makes a huge difference. Like I said, it's not just a matter of lift and eat clean as people like to say. It's not that simple. But when you actually look at the bigger picture of how everything affects everything else from your hormones and all that, then you can really dial in what you're doing to get the results you want. Okay, so the myth of 2 to 3, the kind of myth of the 2 to 3 hour meal is true in some scenarios and not so true in others. So just consider what you're doing. If you want to put on mass, which is what I'm going to do, 2-3 meals, I'm going to do that. If not, fasting might be the better way to go. All right. So I'm going to leave that off as that. That's about 10 minutes. And again, I'm going to try to get some more fat loss videos in, because I haven't been talking a whole lot about that. I was just looking at my channel and I have maybe like 1 or 2 videos on fat loss. So I'm going to try to do that a lot more. I know a lot of people, that's their concern is trying to get lean. And yeah, so I'll try to target that topic a little bit more for you guys. All right. So like and subscribe, and yeah, I'll get some more out there for you. You guys got any questions or comments, or you have an objective to what I'm saying? Cool. Put it down below. The objections, I might not care to answer it, but feel free to put them in there. All right. See you later, guys.